With a huffing sigh that she was certain was audible, she swerved from tailing the X-Wing, frowning as red laser fire came perilously close to her fighter's fragile wings. That was on her. She hadn't been focusing. She corrected that oversight immediately, zooming away from the station toward a pair of Y-Wings that was, successfully, attempting to get her attention. Any other time, Iden would have enjoyed toying with them. They were decent pilots, although the ones in the X-Wings were superior. But right now, she was too irritated to do so. She targeted the closest Y-Wing, locked onto it, and blew it to pieces. Watching the fragments of the starfighter hurtling wildly was some small compensation for the death of her fellow pilots. Death Star is 2 minutes to target. Be aware of your distance from the planet. Ah, so that was why Nerik was giving the countdown. Iden had to give the pilot of the other Y-Wing credit for courage, albeit of the foolish kind. The ship was now racing away from the Death Star at top speed. Were they heading back to Yavin's moon, nobly choosing to die with their base? Or were they just trying to evade her? Not happening, Iden thought, and continued her pursuit. She got the vessel in her sights and fired. She didn't slow as the ship exploded, but simply pulled back and looped up and over the fireball and debris snug in her crash webbing, and smoothly dipped the TIE fighter in front of the second Y-Wing for the perfect shot. The pale moon shape of the Death Star loomed behind the vessel, its gargantuan size making the rebel ship look like the toys she'd been allowed to play with as a child. The Y-Wing was making for Yavin as fast as it could, swerving erratically enough that Iden frowned as she tried to get a lock on it. A sudden, scalding brightness filled her vision. Temporarily blinded, Iden hurtled wildly, her TIE fighter tumbling out of control. As her vision returned, she realized debris was coming at her as intensely as if she suddenly materialized inside an asteroid field. Her focus, always powerful, narrowed to laser-like precision as she frantically dodged and swerved, maneuvering around the biggest pieces and wishing with all her being that TIE fighters had shields. Iden pivoted and tumbled, breathing the mercifully still-flowing oxygen deeply and rhythmically. But she knew in her heart it was just a matter of time. There was too much debris. Some of it the size of a standard escape pod, some of it as small as her clenched fist, and she was right in the thick of it. The smaller pieces were pelting her TIE fighter already. Sooner or later, one of the big chunks would hit her, and both Senior Lieutenant Iden Versio and her ship would be nothing more than smears on what was left of Yavin's moon. Somehow she'd wandered too close to the Death Star's target and had gotten caught up in the chaotic sweep of its destruction, exactly what her commander had been warning her against. But how was that possible? "Mayday! Mayday!" Iden shouted, unable to keep her voice calm as she desperately dipped and dived to avoid disaster. "This is TIE Sigma 3 requesting assistance. Repeat, this is TIE Sigma 3 requesting assistance. Do you copy? Over." Silence. Absolute cold. Terrifying silence.